Thursday, December 7th, the Morgan County Planning Commission. I've asked Member Little to give the opening prayer, and then if you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our dear kind Heavenly Father, we are grateful that we can meet together, grateful for this community, grateful for all those who are involved in help and support one another. Thank Thee, Father, for the things that we can discuss tonight. May we be blessed with Thy vision and help us to see the things that would help this community work together and develop. And we pray, Father, for the guidance and direction. And thank Thee once again for these opportunities. And we say it in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I forgot, I'd like to welcome everyone here in attendance. We really like having company. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I have a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion by Member Phillips,
I'll second it.
a second by Member Little. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any conflicts of interest with any item on the agenda? Planning Commission members? Seeing none, okay, we'll move on. Now is the public comment time. First of all, we have three administrative items and then two legislative. The legislative items have their own public hearing. So if you have a comment on number 9 or 10, we ask that you wait until we address that agenda item. However, if you have any comment on 6, 7, and 8, now would be the time for you to come up and make a comment, or if you have any other comment you'd like to make to the Planning Commission, now is the time. And please state your name.
Good evening. I'm Ed Schultz, 4175 North Morgan Valley Drive, and with Wasatch Peaks Ranch, as many of you know. I'm sure you've heard there was a ruling yesterday against WPR and the county, and we're disappointed in that, obviously. While impactful to WPR, this ruling is also impactful to the citizens of Morgan County, the taxpayers of Morgan County, and the kids in the Morgan County School District. Additionally, it's impactful to the WPR employees. We have 190 employees now. 40 of them are Morgan residents. They are all questioning where their livelihoods are going. Additionally, we have over 400 contractors and subcontractors up on that mountain. They have been paused by this ruling, and they're wondering about their livelihood and their Christmas. I've brought letters from 27 of them, along with the Mountain Green Sewer Improvement District, wondering about their planned expansion and how they're going to finance that. And I'd like to share those with you. But a couple other things to think about. Last year, we had 50 home sites approved in this room by all of you and by the BOCC. Those 50 home sites generated over $2.1 million in taxes paid to Morgan County. Yes, the school district gets 70% of that, impactful for their budget. The other $400,000, give or take, that went to Morgan County, impactful. What's the budget here in Morgan County? $12.5 million? We have $400,000. That adds up. But there was another 50 home sites approved this year. You get up over 100 home sites, that dollar value should double. But does it? What are those values going to be assessed at now in light of this ruling? That's a question for all of us and a question for all the taxpayers in this community. Despite the efforts of these plaintiffs, we still feel very supported in Morgan County. We had more than 30 supporters in that courtroom yesterday, standing room only, with people standing outside. We are a huge believer in the county, and we do believe that WPR and the county will prevail in this litigation. We're going to appeal the ruling from yesterday. We will adhere to the provisions of the TRO, but we are disappointed. And I hope all of you think about the impacts to this county, the taxpayers, the schools, the school children in the district, along with the employees that are both based here in Morgan and all the employees that represent these 27 letters that work in and live in Davis County, Weber County, Summit County, and of of course, Morgan County. Can I hand these out? Can I hand it to Jeremy?
Yes, you can pass them out. You can-
Sweet.
Are there any other public comments at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Agenda item number 6. This will be discussion decision, MTN for commercial site plan and conditional use permit.
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Planning Commission. Item number 6 on tonight's agenda is for 2 applications for the same project. Application 23.068, 23.085 for the MTN4 commercial project in the Canyon View area. Addressed at 5738 West Canyon View Place, with the acreage of about 1.5 acres, and the general plan future land use designation has this as commercial VOC, standing for vehicle oriented commercial. The underlying zoning is highway commercial. Simple project. The CUP coming for you tonight is similar to the one that came before the Planning Commission at their last meeting, where there's setbacks from the property lines. In addition, there are setbacks for the building for parking, and because of this application or the property site having to deal with 2 separate county rights of way provides a difficulty that can be solved with the CUP by this Planning Commission tonight, to be able to keep the building in the same location and with the same site plan that's been approved by engineering, survey, and planning and development. Landscape plan shows over 15% landscaping with a lot of natural flora in the area. And then lighting and parking, and again parking with the CUP granted, future tents. Both look good from a planning standpoint. I can answer any questions you may have, and the applicant is in the audience tonight. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any questions for staff? I just had the one question, maybe the applicant, it talked about the aluminum storefront. Is that just, or maybe you know, just around the doors? Is that the aluminum?
Hi, my name's Nick Smith. I represent Sam Investments on this project. Yeah, so the aluminum storefront is just going to be entirely for window outlines and the door outlines for the entrances and all the glazing on the place. That's the only metal on the building other than a parapet cap that would go around the building and add a little accent across the top of the building for architecture. That's the only one.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission, have any discussion or motion? If not, we have 2 motions. We need to make one for the site plan approval, and then the second is for the conditional use permit.
Madam Chair, I move that we recommend approval to the County Commission for the Mountain Ford Commercial Site Plan Application 23.068, allowing for the proposed commercial development located at 5738 West Canyon View Place in Mountain Green, based on the findings with the conditions listed in the staff report, December 7, 2023.
Okay, I have a motion by Member Bass. Do I have a second?
Go ahead.
A second by Member Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now, we need the second motion regarding the conditional use permit.
Madam Chair, I move we recommend approval to the County Commission for the Mountain 4 CUP application 23.085, allowing for the proposed commercial development located at 5738 West Canyon View Place in Mountain Green, based on the findings and with the conditions listed in the staff report dated December 7, 2023.
We have a motion again by Member Bass, second. Okay, second by Member Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're on to agenda item number 7. You want to come and explain what's going on there?
Madam Chair, the applicant requested for a continuance. They had some revisions to kind of how they wanted their site plan to look and the direction they wanted to take for the use of the building and the property. So we have this January 11 meeting date chosen because that'll give the applicant time to resubmit a site plan and to go through review for county engineer and planning to take a look at that before it comes back to you. And so the only page of the staff report is just that cover page tonight.
Okay, so we will need a motion to postpone until our January 11th, 2024 meeting.
Madam Chair, I move to postpone item number 7 to January 11, 2024.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Member Bass, a second by Member Little. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, agenda item number 8.
Madam Chair, item number 8 is for application 23.071, the Croydon Acres subdivision First Amendment. So this is this is a request to amend the subdivision is one lot within the Croydon Acres subdivision for a lot line adjustment, and then there will be parcel line adjustments happening to adjoining properties as well. The applicant is Mike Schultz. The project location is 1415 North, 6800 East in Croydon. The current zoning is RR1, which is rural residential 1 acre minimum. And the acreage of the subdivision, and actually total altogether, is 4.85 acres. So staff has reviewed this project and finds that it meets all minimum code requirements. There were surveyor comments outstanding until this afternoon, and they were minor comments which have been addressed. I can answer any questions that you may have, and the applicant and agent are in the audience tonight. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. I have a question. I don't know if you want to address it. The plat amendment appears to be the same as the original subdivision. I'm not seeing the change.
And I think the applicant would be better suited to answer that question. It'll give me time to pull it up
Okay.
on the map, and you can point it out to us.
You could maybe bring it up. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commission members. I appreciate the opportunity to come before your body today. First off, I'd just like to say thank you to your staff. We were a little slow getting started, just kind of going through this process, trying to understand what was needed and everything for this lot line adjustment and the right process to go through to make it happen. And they were very patient with us, and once we figured that out, it's been really good to work with, and so we really appreciate all the efforts on behalf of the county. And so what we're asking for is lot one. There was one lot, Croydon Acres. It was just under a 3 acre parcel, and it has one house built on it. As was mentioned by Jeremy, it's a minimum 1 acre lot size. Our proposal and what we're asking for is to carve off what would be parcel 1 of the lot 1 on this new map there. It would be on the north side of the property. And the purpose for carving that parcel off is we're going to take that parcel and attach it to a larger piece of parcel that is behind that property that I own, and also work with one of the existing neighbors to create a little bit of access This parcel is being carved off to create an access point. This is for the ranch that I have in Croydon and in Morgan County and Summit counties. And this south end of the ranch has very limited access. In fact, the access point on this south end goes through Eric Wild's, well, let's see, Edwin owns the house, Edwin Wild's driveway. And so we're working so that I don't have to use that easement to go through his driveway. We could create a driveway that goes on parcel 1 that gets us up to that, so we can have access, better access to that piece. And for just by way of comparison, just for visualization point, the cemetery, the Croydon Cemetery, would be just to the east of this. And so what's asking to be, to your original question, Madam Chair, parcel 1 is the piece that would be carved off from this piece, from the lot 1.
Okay. Maybe the changes the surveyor recommended make it clearer of the new boundary between the parcel 1 and lot 1.
Yeah, it's on the next page.
Okay, yeah, that's a lot better. Now it makes sense.
Yeah, prior to that, it didn't make any
Now,
sense.
yeah, prior it did not.
So
Connect to that piece behind it.
What's with the blue line on the map on page 13? Yeah.
Yet,
So the yellow is the current lot. It goes all the way back?
I can point to the current if you like.
yeah, we see, yeah. No, the revised plat now makes sense that we're seeing.
Yeah.
You see? Yeah.
This actually.
applicant. And just the parcel boundary adjustment doesn't involve us. That's, just needs to be surveyed and recorded.
So this new parcel has less than 1 acre, so it's not buildable.
It's not buildable.
So it's just access.
Just an access point for the southern end.
It is pretty steep terrain there anyways. It'd be hard to build something.
Yeah, it's really not. There's a bunch of easements. It's be pretty much impossible to build on.
Okay. Any other questions now that we have clarified?
I'm good.
Good?
Thank you.
No, thank you. Ready for a motion then?
Madam Chair, I move to recommend approval to the County Commission of the Croydon Acres subdivision First Amendment application number 23.071, located 1415 North, 6800 East in Croydon, based on findings listed in the staff report dated December 7th, 2023.
We have a motion by Member Phillips,
Second.
and a second by Member Bass. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item is item number 9, discussion, public hearing decision on the Ravala Development Agreement.
Madam Chair, I'll be deferring to the County Attorney's Office for the presentation of this item. Well, I guess I can introduce this. So this is the third amendment to the Ravala Development Agreement. And so the request, the original request was to have this be an extension to December of 2028. But the county attorney has looked at the language of the staff report, and I'll turn it over to her. So.
The history of this before we start? Are you gonna go over the history?
I probably don't know the entire history. Now, I've reviewed the original development agreement, I think from 2008, the subsequent amendments, and now this proposed. Yeah. So I'm guessing you guys are all familiar with it, or?
Should we do it when it?
Yeah,
let
we
the
can have
applicant
a,
do-
yeah, we can have the applicant come up and give a brief history for. If you could state your name.
Yeah, no
for the-
problem. Excuse me, I'm Michael Hutchings on behalf of the developer. Agreement. It's going to be the PowerPoint, the last one, I believe. Perfect, thanks. Thanks again for having us tonight. Like I said, my name is Michael Hutchings. I'm from Snow Wilmer, representing the developer this evening. Perfect, thank you. So this history of the development agreement, to give you an overview, this is the property that the development agreement is dealing with, and it was zoned MPDR when the development agreement was originally entered into. So since that development agreement was executed, there's been 2 subsequent amendments to that development agreement. And actually, I'll show you real quick the original concept plan, and you can see how much this project's changed and the density's been reduced over time. Okay, sorry. So the original plan under the development agreement had quite extensive density at 561 units and a number of amenities tucked in there as well in this development. The first amendment to the development agreement simply changed some access terms. It was a pretty administrative amendment. The second amendment was the one that reduced it ended up reducing the density from 561 units to 115 units. And with that, amenities were reduced as well. So I know that in the staff report, it's talked about this project's, had reduced amenities over time. Well, part of that is in relation to the overall density's been cut to about a fifth of what it originally was. So what we were requesting is a 5-year extension for this development agreement that originally it expired 3 days ago on December 4th, 2023. We'd be asking for a 5-year extension. An additional point of history on this development agreement is September of 2023, this body approved the concept subdivision approval. And subsequent to that, we have submitted a preliminary plat application following that approval. And we have 29 initial single-family lots. The area labeled sheet 2 on the plat there is for a golf course, and sheet 4 is the remainder of the property that will be developed. And this next slide will zoom in. It's approximately 150 acres, that remaining parcel. And under the Second Amendment, there's approximately 80 units that the project was vested with that need to be built out. And one of the reasons why we submitted an application just for 29 units instead of the full 115 that was under the development agreement was we've been working quite extensively with the health department to make sure that we can get septic in place, we should get the well locations in place. And that's taken a lot of time, so we want to take these in tranches as we're going along. So we had an original 29 lot tranche with the subdivision plat filed in September, and so we requested extra time for to continue to work with the health department to be able to figure out the septic, figure out the well locations on the remaining lots, and be able to finish out this development under the development agreement. So we just asked for an extension for 5 years to do so.
Okay.
Are we further along in the process now than we were the last extension that got asked for?
Yeah, the last extension was in 2021, and that was the Second Amendment to the development agreement. At that time, it was also extended 5 years. But when that occurred, that was when the whole project was replanned. That was what the reduction of the dwelling units from 560 down to 115 units. So, and then by the time that Second Amendment, I'll go back to it. By the time that Second Amendment was actually executed, some time had passed, and I'm not totally sure if you can see the approval for that reduction and the extension happened on December 4th, 2018, but the development agreement amendment wasn't until April of 2021. So there was some additional time shaved off the clock that we would love some time back on our clock to get this development wrapped up.
Any more questions?
Can you do 29 private wells?
Yeah, I think we have.
Wells aren't under our purview. Weaver Morgan Health, so, and
I'm happy to speak to that if you want. My name's Sarah. I'm with Rockworth Companies. So we're the owner and developer of the site. All of the well and septic have been approved by Weaver Morgan Health. We've tested every single well and septic, every location. They're all approved within all of the parameters set forth by the code and all requirements. I can wait till the public comment period, but I think I have just a few more things to piggyback off of. So I guess a couple things to go off of the questions that were in the packet. We want to keep this development agreement going with the densities that are outlined. We'd love, I guess we'd love to know why the densities were appropriate 5 years ago and maybe are not now. That's one of the questions that was in the packet. The well and septic for the 29 lots, that is what the plan is for this current plat application. But obviously any future development, that isn't set in stone. Utilities would have to be mapped out. The amenities that are outlined in the previous applications, as mentioned, there was that 500 unit plan. Those amenities were very appropriate for 500 units. They're not appropriate for this new development where there's 29 lots and the minimum of the 1.75 acre lots. We also just wanted to mention that the golf course and keeping that 9 holes is a very serious amenity that we are, trying to preserve for the community. So yeah.
Happy to answer any other questions as well with this.
Thank you.
Let's hear from the county.
And for those, I'll introduce, this is Janet Christopherson. She's the Deputy County Attorney, and she will help us navigate.
Hopefully. So I reviewed the original development agreement and the 2 amendments and then the current proposed amendment. I'm not opposing any further amendments, but I think we need to, I have some issues with some of the proposed terms within that, particularly paragraph 3, they're claiming they have vested rights, and I don't think legally they do, and I don't think we dare enter into an agreement at this point saying that they do. Furthermore, I have concerns over paragraph 6, which I think could ultimately be construed to maybe eliminate some of the really good benefits the county has in the main development agreement from 2008 that hasn't been amended out from the other amendments. So what I'm thinking is that we're at a good place where we could probably negotiate something better that's more beneficial for the county and helps this development, but I think we need a little more time to come to terms with that. I've been also advised, I think, that the fire people have some concerns too about, fire safety, and when we're dealing with wells instead of having actual hydrants and some other safety features when we're going to be obligated to service them with our fire department. So I don't know if Rich would like to maybe
Dave,
explain
would you like
that
to come
better.
up or voice your concerns?
Dave Rich with the fire department, and from the fire department side, we see no way that we can fight a fire in those 29 lots with wells on. We just don't have the water to do that. Even though they're proposing sprinkling those houses, if they get going, fire could start from the outside and the way the wind goes in Round Valley, up and down, morning and evening. Something on the outside, the sprinklers aren't going to catch that at all. So, from our standpoint, we need to be able to have a fighting chance of putting a fire out there in these homes, and to do that, we feel that we need a hydrant system in it, a water system, which will provide the appropriate amounts of water for us to fight a fire with. Any other questions for that?
I have a question about the original one. So it said that there weren't any concerns about fire before, but now there are.
Yes.
Was the plan before to put a water system in then?
Yes, I
With
think
the
the original
hydrants?
one had the water system in it, and I think it was the last amendment that allowed for the wells on 29, I think. I think it was limited to just 29, if I recall. But yeah, it was this last amendment that did that, just for the 29.
providing two kind of parallel applications. So just to be clear, we do have an application in for the 29 lots that's in the plat phase. That's separate from this application. So this is specifically asking for the development agreement. That one, with regards to the fire comments, is a separate application. So I just hope that they'll be reviewed separately.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions?
So what do you see needs to happen for an extension?
What I think you need to do is sit down and really renegotiate the development agreement and take a hard look at what kind of, like, future-wise, what are you looking for as far as making sure we have a good water system and fire safety for the county? Because we can't have a place that's subject to be burning down and our fire department running there and not being able to do that. Definitely paragraph 3 needs to go out of there. And I think it's kind of an opportunity to maybe just sit down with them and say, hey, here are some of the things that the county would like to see done, and what can we do to help you guys out, and what can you guys do to help us figure this out. So I think it's time you have the opportunity, now that it's expired, to go ahead and get something better in place that's more beneficial to both the county and for them as well. I mean, I don't think anyone doesn't want to see this project go through, but I think you want to make sure that it's going to be safe and legally beneficial for the county as well.
At what point were the some of those amendments or the amenities taken out?
That's kind of progressed through. A lot of it came out, I think, in the Second Amendment really changed it a lot, but I think as part of it, it was kind of concessions, I'm guessing, in reducing the number and what they really could afford at the time is what I'm guessing, because it was such a big project. So a lot of kind of the perks and stuff came out, and I think the county did a lot of concessions as far as, you know, that's when they allowed in paragraph 13 the wells and septic tanks. And I don't know if they were thinking forward about what the development was going to be like in Morgan County and what an impact it does have on our fire departments and their ability to respond.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. It was the Second Amendment when a lot of the project changed.
And the same people have been over this project the whole time.
Right. It's, the Morgan Valley Partners entity. And I will add one thing if there's no other questions, that the present zoning, so this property in the master zone, with the development agreement expired, the underlying zoning requires a development agreement for any development to occur. So we're either going to have this agreement that's already been negotiated, or we're going to have another agreement for development to happen. So our preference would just be to extend the existing agreement. I know that the county's talked about, it's time to renegotiate for new terms in this agreement. And that's open. We're open to the idea of a new development agreement for this, but it would be a lot simpler for everyone involved to do this, because if we're going to go forward. The property has to have zoning. It has no zoning right now that this is expired. It's got no ability to develop. It's basically become useless without an extension of this development.
Okay. Any questions before we go into public hearing? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
You have something? Sure.
They've stated already that they're going to do the other 150 acres. Why not do the water system now and take care of both of them? So I think that's something that needs to be considered.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to go into public hearing for item number 9.
Motion to go into public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, and a second by Member Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're now in public hearing. If anyone has any comments to make, please come forward and state your name.
Tina Kelly, Mountain Green. I was on the previous council that approved this development agreement. I was against it at the time, but we worked through a lot of negotiations with the development, and they provided a lot of things moving forward. They were always on their honor. They were really good to work with. Despite the economic downturn that happened in 2008, they paid for the road. They paid nearly $1 million for the road construction to occur for that new road to go in, and they did that, and the county requested that because of the citizens of Morgan didn't want access off of a different road, off of First South, if I remember right. So they didn't have to do that. They already had a public road that they could use access for. They went ahead and did this at our request, and that was one of the things that we asked for. And they were putting in a lot more homes. This is a lot more acceptable to me than what was proposed at the time. I can't speak to the fire issues, and I can't speak to the attorney's issues. I can just say that the development partners have followed through with this despite all of the hardships, and they've come through and done everything that they had agreed to do, and have tried to make a better project out of what's resulted through the economy. Thank you.
Can we ask Tina a question? No.
That's fine. That's fine. Normally not, but we're small in numbers today.
Tina, do you remember why did it switch from where they were going to provide their own water and sewer?
That was after I was off the council. That was a development agreement change that happened after I was gone.
But when you guys did that and you were negotiating it, you guys were under the assumption that it'd have its own water and sewer?
And there were a lot more homes going. That was a lot bigger project going, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
I'm Brad Roll. I live in Morgan. I guess one thing was I just heard that it's a waste if that this doesn't go through. I'm just going to throw out a thing for the golfing people. They love 18 holes out there, and it isn't a waste. That place is busier now than ever, and we love 18 holes out there. It's just, you got people coming from all over. They love coming to Morgan. They buy their lunch. I'm sure it's not a big tax increase for you, but it's not a waste if it doesn't happen. There's a lot of happy golfers if we keep 18 holes. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to go out of public hearing.
Motion by Member Bass, go out of public. I'll give it to Member Little, the second. Get tie. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we're out of public hearing.
Okay, so I guess my question, if there's some changes in negotiating that you think should happen, I guess the application is for just an extension, a 5-year extension. Is there an option to say, like, sure, but we're gonna renegotiate? Or is the answer today, no, start the process again?
Or postpone.
To get into negotiations?
Or postpone.
I think you could postpone. The agreement as written, legally, I wouldn't recommend. So you could postpone, or you could start over and renegotiate a whole new development agreement, or do an extension. I mean, we've had them lapse in the past, I believe, and extended, because it's already expired. Is that correct? Yeah.
So I guess my question is, it would be to them, do they want us to postpone it for the purpose of renegotiating, or not approve the 5-year extension?
I think they made it pretty clear they want the extension.
Right, but I'm saying if we don't give them that option, like your option is we postpone, you renegotiate, come back for your extension.
Or we deny.
Or we deny.
Recommend denial.
Right.
Yeah, come on up
That's what
and
I
speak
think.
into the mic.
I'm pretty sure that's what she's doing is asking the developer.
Well, yeah, but.
Sorry.
It's obviously up to you guys, and we just appreciate you having us, but we would be happy to continue to negotiate and would prefer you postpone over flat denial to continue that conversation, but we obviously respect any decision you choose to make.
How long would that negotiation process take?
I think that's up to them.
Because we just have to have a date to
Depends on
postpone
how
it
hard
to-
you negotiate.
Yeah.
They need to work on it, so maybe you can come up and how long do you think you will need to rework it?
Is there a possibility to postpone indefinitely and we could come back to you with
Well,
a
that
date? or
kills
is that-
it.
You don't
Oh,
want
it kills it.
You don't
Okay.
want to postpone it.
I mean,
indefinitely.
could we have until mid-January, and that gives us the opportunity to
Okay.
meet with you guys and
We can
discuss
postpone
further.
it again if you're
Yeah.
not ready.
Yep. Yeah.
So like our second meeting in January?
Great.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
June 5.
And we're gonna do this while golfing.
Absolutely. We'll host you at the golf course.
This might take 6 months.
Okay.
Okay.
Madam Chair, then,
Okay.
I move to postpone item number 9 to January 25th, 2024.
They have a motion to postpone till January 25th
Second.
and a second by Member Phillips. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 10. This is we have the discussion, the public hearing, and decision on the attached accessory dwelling units code text amendment. And everyone picked up the clean copy?
Is the flag lot not?
No, flag lot's not ready. There's one on the table out there.
It's on the screen as well. Oh, I can blow it up.
Would you like to?
So, Madam Chair, item number, I believe it's 10 on tonight's agenda, is a legislative action. It's a request for approval of text amendments to modify the following sections of Morgan County Code. And remember these code references have changed recently, so Chapter 154.001 of Title 15, which is definitions, and of the same title, 155.341, which is internal accessory dwelling units, abbreviated ADUs. The modification includes a definition for detached accessory dwelling units and language in Morgan County Code for those how those units will work within Morgan County. Bit of context: a proposed bill in the Utah State Legislature in 2021 was to allow for internal accessory dwelling units statewide, all jurisdictions in residential zones. Okay, so this year, our very own Representative Kara Birkland sponsored a bill to do the same thing for detached accessory dwelling units. That amendment passed. In addition, the County Commission directed staff to draft code language to bring before you tonight, and of course, for the benefit of the public, we've held multiple work sessions to workshop this code language and to make it work within Morgan County. The last time we met as a county commission and staff to discuss the language of the text, one thing that the planning commission directed staff to kind of to research in section D of this amendment, it's the detached accessory dwelling units language, and it's bullet point 11 referencing meters was the question. How do we make that work in Morgan County? 1 or 2 meters? How do we stipulate that? When I spoke to Mark Miller, county engineer, he recommended really not including language of that nature into an amendment like this, for the simple purpose that that'll basically be regulated on its own by Rocky Mountain Power. When they come out to assess if there needs to be 1 or 2 meters, they'll do the calculations to figure that out. From Mark Miller's standpoint, there isn't a need for staff in the county to have this language in there to stipulate that for residents of this county. That'll basically be taken care of by the process and not by planning and zoning. And so if it's for that it's for that reason I recommend, staff recommends a strike through of point 11 on the language of the code and of the code text amendment. Otherwise, staff has reviewed this draft legislation and finds that it meets all minimum code requirements for a legislative action. And the county attorney's office didn't have any specific comments for us when drafting this language. Our office did receive multiple visits and calls and emails in favor of this legislation. To the contrary, I think maybe we only got one visit recommending, not in favor of this legislation, just because of the increased density was kind of the reasoning there. But a lot of folks in this county want this as an option. They want this as the option for the reasons that have been discussed in planning commission work sessions, for parents that want to build a detached accessory dwelling units for their children, for children who want to build a detached accessory dwelling unit for their aging parents, lots of situations like that. I can answer any questions you may have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
So did Rocky Mountain Power not get called?
I spoke to Mark Miller. That's what I did.
It actually makes sense. Like if you were doing a barn and it's a fair distance away, then just put a different meter on it. I get not having it in there actually.
This was a similar situation when we were discussing dry utilities and the danger of having too much language in there that would come back to bite the county and having to do future amendments to that language to make it work and all of that. Rocky Mountain Power and other utility companies end up changing their processes and their call it code, but again, their processes all the time. And our code simply couldn't keep up with the nature of legislative items as they are. So that's our reasoning as staff for recommending that. Otherwise, I think when we left off on this work session, there weren't any further recommendations to change this text before you tonight.
So just to remove number 11. Okay.
That would be
in the motion.
In the motion,
okay.
yes.
Any questions for staff?
Curious to know how that
I really don't know, but again, for Mark Miller, county engineer who rubs shoulders with a lot of Rocky Mountain personnel, just mentioned that they have a review process for that. When if a detached accessory dwelling unit, when it's requested in other jurisdictions, they come out and look at the current meter, see if it'll support the second accessory structure, but in this case, a dwelling unit, and just see if another meter is necessary and things like that. So that's all I can really speak to that process.
Since we have Dave Rich here, can we have him talk on this?
Have you have any? Yeah, maybe. If he has any concerns from a fire
Will you check
standpoint?
your microphones? I think one of yours is off.
I guess one of my questions would be, where do the ag barns fit into this?
Where do they fit in? It's just another detached unit, right?
We have a number of ag barns going in that are barn dominiums.
Right.
Detached structure for kid or whatever.
This will bring them into compliance.
Goes into an ag barn, we're out of it. We don't get to say anything about it. As far as a double meter on anything, again, I think that's at the Rocky Mountain. They'll know what kind of amps are going to be used or wattage. If they've got to make a bigger panel, do it, or if it's just easier to put in another meter.
And I think they put in the ag barn because they're not allowed now, under our current code, to have a detached. So maybe this will bring them into compliance and we can bring them in and make them legal.
To speak to Dave's question, our agricultural use exemption form, I hate to say that, I don't want to say that it takes the place of a building permit, but really in our process, we're just looking for setbacks, building height, lot coverage. And so the right to have an agricultural use exemption is a right from the state. And so our form is essentially the state's form. And then planning and zoning looks at those things to make sure it works from the planning perspective in Oregon County. I suppose if we did get a specific complaint that a barn with an agricultural use exemption was complained about, and we were forced to issue zoning compliance under the current code, we would take actions for zoning enforcement. But Madam Chair, you're right. This would bring a lot of those into conformance with code.
As far as building permit, if they do electrical or plumbing, then they are required to get a building permit for those utilities, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's an issue of human habitation, not an issue, but the aspect of human habitation that changes the use of a structure. And if it's an agricultural use exemption, when they go through that form, they promise that they'll use it for things like animals, hay, farm equipment. If they want to do an electrical, if they want to add an electrical component to the barn itself, they'll come back and they'll get an electrical permit for itself. But we do not issue building permits for agricultural use structures. It's kind of like a permit.
Right. More of a land use permit, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Let's go into public hearing.
Madam Chair, I move we go into public hearing for item number 10.
Second.
We have a motion by Member Bass, a second by Member Phillips. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're in public hearing. Just you.
Tina Kelly, Mountain Green. I've appreciated the opportunity to have watched you work through this because we had this before and we went to just the attached accessory for a reason. And so you're even bringing this up because of the state and the county commission bothered me. But I followed the process and I was comfortable with it except for 11 and 12 made me feel comfortable about it. Taking out 11, and I understand I wouldn't go against what Mark has to say. Mark's very intelligent and very well versed in the utilities. But the reason why we considered this before with the shared meter and not two separate meters was because some people were trying to get around the subdivision process by putting a second home on and then somehow diverting the process and having two homes, which defeats the zoning purpose. If you're in an R120, you should have one home per 20,000 square feet or per half acre, two. And so having a smaller structure for your family, I can understand that. But having a second structure that could then somehow down the road be determined to be a house that's sold, it wouldn't be able to be sold if it had a shared meter. And I can tell you that that was the instance in the case that came before us. I won't mention any names or the specifics of it, but the person who was trying to thwart the process that caused us to go back to just having the attached accessory unit had to have a shared meter. And then he came back after the fact, apparently had tried to do financing of some sort for that second unit, but couldn't because of the shared meter. And yelled at me. It was our fault as the council that he couldn't get financing for that because of the shared meter. My question was, why was he trying to get financing for a separate unit when it was part of the others, when they should be sold as one, not as two? So that was my concern, and 11 kind of made me feel comfortable, and then also 12. So possibly 12 will take care of that. Then in 15C, I wasn't sure how you were going to have that upheld. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I move to provide a public hearing.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion, Member Bass, and a second by Member Phillips. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Did you say number 15 on C?
15C, it's the enforcement. They need to come in within 6 months to bring their ADU into compliance, and how do you enforce that, or, I guess?
If somebody complains.
You what?
If somebody complains.
If someone complains, or? We are complaint-driven. That's true. Do you have an answer on that one? I guess it'd be your office.
What section, in that section, is there a penalty? Or are you meaning other than someone tattling and saying, hey?
A lot of times there is a penalty, like it's a Class C misdemeanor or something.
It should be in that actual section, violations.
Class B misdemeanor or a fine of $100 per day until the issue is resolved.
Okay.
We grant a 10-day period for the opportunity to come to the office and put together a plan to bring whatever property back into conformance.
Okay.
Jeremy, and just to clarify what you were saying earlier, does that apply to these barns that have been put up? Or just if they're inhabited?
I suppose it would be an issue if there was a barn put up, and let's say electricity installed, and let's say a room put in there with a toilet, again, meeting all the definitions for human habitation, and not having permits for any of those, and if that barn was ever to become subject of a complaint, that would be a bigger issue.
That
would
doesn't
require
apply
zoning
to
enforcement.
just a regular
No,
barn?
not a barn.
Okay.
Just the simple issue that we don't have a code enforcement officer staffing for such, and so we just operate based on complaints due to just the limited staffing we have.
Janice, so you were suggesting to have that penalty put into this ordinance?
No, I was just saying if there is a penalty, there should be one that's
Reference.
under, in that code section, and that's what I was asking. Is that, he knew what it was off the top of his head.
Okay.
I wish I could provide the code reference off the top of my head. It's in there.
It's in there. Okay, thank you. Any more discussion? Ready for a motion, and a motion if you're striking number 11, whether it's recommending approval or not. Yeah.
Madam Chair, make a motion for a positive recommendation with additional changes. We forward a positive recommendation to the County Commission for the revision to the Morgan County Code amending sections 155.008 definitions and amending section 155.341 accessory dwelling units to add code language for detached accessory dwelling units from the draft ordinance dated December 7th, 2023, with the following corrections: that we strike number 11 in section B.
Okay. I have a motion by Member Phillips. Do I have a second?
I would be tempted to, but I listen to what Tina says. I can see that. On the other hand, how would that shake out if something happened like that? If somebody complains about a meter, they try and take a loan out, the process is going to deny them at some point in time, right?
Right.
For sake
Still
of
gotta have
parliamentary
a,
procedure,
still
I'll
gotta
second.
have a second
Okay, that's
parcel.
Well, apparently somebody, that's what I'm saying though, if you create this, unless somebody complains, then they can do whatever they want. And if you've got somebody that's going out and saying, I've got another house, then guess the bank's gonna say, okay, we can make a loan.
I feel like 11 is just a safeguard for us. The power people can, well, I guess.
The one that covers that is section, or number 12 though.
You can't
Neither unit
separate it.
Shall be sold separately from the other. And you've got that part covered, but
But I understand that, and I get that. You can certainly fight that, and I'm sure you'd win. But my question back to you is, we're creating a situation where people can go out and misrepresent what they have.
not without, you would never get through the loan approval
From the
process.
title company.
Well, that's
You'd
what
have to
I'm
have a
asking.
separate tax ID.
That's what I'm asking is, they'll get caught at some point.
Oh, yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah, there's no way you'd be able to get a loan
Well, I don't know if that's true or not. That's what,
without a separate tax ID.
well, what I'm saying back to you is, somebody takes a loan out and says, oh, it's my property. And Kevin says, it's my property, I want to do it. And I say, it's not correct. You can't do that. That's what I'm saying back to you. What is the liability the county's part of at that point in time? Because they're saying, yeah, you can do it. I know it's a minor point.
There's always ways around the rules.
That's
And
my-
if we have number 11, it helps not have the way
I'm not a lender, but I'm a real estate agent. Based on everything I know, unless you created a separate tax ID for that unit and it had its own utilities, you wouldn't be able to sell it. So even if they do get the separate meter, unless they create a separate tax ID, which number 12 prevents, there's no way they can get a loan. You can only get the loan on that one tax ID number for the property.
Well, you're gonna find that out sometime if you're a buyer. That's what I'm suggesting. And I believe in due diligence, so technically I don't really believe in what I'm saying, but I just,
You wanna be
bothers me
contrary
that
tonight.
People will do that. It's like, somebody's gonna have to take it on.
Well, they tried, but they couldn't get it, is what she was saying.
That prevented them. yeah.
They wouldn't be able to do that, from my understanding. And again, I'm just a local real estate agent, but been doing it a long time. Everything I know says, unless they create a separate lot. The buyer may even sign a contract and get underway, but if they're going to get financing,
People do things illegal all the time. I mean, you look up what Deed Creek is about.
yes,
Better back.
yes, but you can't finance it. At least, well, actually, no, I think some of those are financed,
Yeah,
actually.
they have separate parcel numbers.
Because you've got individual tax IDs. And that's where 12 will come in to protect you. They can't.
Well, I'm good with that, man. If we've got 12 to kind of shore that up, I'd second.
We had a second by Member Bass. She seconded so we can continue our discussion. So we have a motion and a second.
It is a valid concern.
Any more discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Kate, you got that? One opposed. We have 3-4. And one opposed, Member Bass. Okay. Moving on to business and staff questions. I have business. We want to move our next meeting was scheduled for December 21st. We decided it's too close to Christmas. We have difficult time getting a quorum, so we're thinking of moving the meeting till after Christmas, December 28th. So I think we need a motion for that, to change our meeting date.
I thought we already did that.
We didn't, it was left on as the 21st. We didn't officially change it, we discussed it. So Josh suggested that we do it formally, so
I move that we postpone our December 21st meeting to December 28th.
okay, I have a motion by Member Bass
I'll say.
and a second by Member Little to postpone our December 21st meeting to December 28th. Any discussion on that? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. And staff, do you have anything for us?
Hey, I got a question for you. What about Revolve? Sorry. Couldn't resist. Oh, I'm just kidding.
Okay, thank you. So the next
Chair, I move we approve the village or the minutes from Memorial
motion to approve the minutes, have a
Second.
second? A second by Member Phillips. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?